The sexual harassment scandal continues to rock Westminster, with the Defence Secretary, Michael Fallon, becoming the latest politician to apologise for past actions.
Yep, sources close to Mr Fallon have confirmed that he was once rebuked by a journalist for putting his hand on her knee repeatedly during dinner. It comes as one MP tells this programme that her complaints of unwanted attention were completely ignored. While our political editor, Ranvir Singh, is in Westminster this morning, some suggestions, Ranvir, specifically in the Daily Telegraph, which broke the MP's expenses scandal, that this one could be as, if not more damaging as that one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this morning a lot of the attention is on what's on the front of the Sun newspaper. The problem with a front page like that, whilst this is a very damaging scandal that is heading over to Westminster, is that, you know, that particular story is where the journalist herself didn't want to name Michael Fallon. She said that this happened 15 years ago. He put his hand on her knee several times. She said, if you don't stop, I'm going to punch you in the face. He stopped. He apologised profusely. They've let it go. She says, I'm not a victim of anything, actually. In fact, at the time, I found it mildly amusing, and she put it in her words in a statement: I don't wish to be what I now believe is part of a Westminster witch hunt. The problem with this story, then, is that it detracts from the real scandal, and that's the one that people should be talking about. It's where women, sometimes men, have told the parliamentary authority about sexual assault, even, and sexual harassment, and nothing is done about it. It falls on deaf ears because, of course, MPs are self-employed. There is no HR system here, really, and the parliamentary authority may well have failed victims, genuine victims. Here's Dawn Butler, the Labour MP. She's written to the Prime Minister, actually, asking what the Prime Minister has known about all of these accusations that have been made over the past few years. Dawn Butler herself has had some experience of sexual harassment. Here's what she told us.
I remember reporting it, and I was told that nothing could be done, and that it's down to the electorate to decide whether that MP should win another election or not.
And another MP, Stephen Doughty, the Labour MP, says that, you know, we've got to be careful, about how we conflate lots of different stories on a wide spectrum of behaviour, sort of overzealous flirting on the one hand, and then genuine, you know, incidents where people have felt threatened, intimidated, and felt worried for their jobs if they complained. Now there needs to be a system that is independent, where if you complain about the MP that you are working for, you're not going to end up telling somebody else in the party who may well be a friend of his. So here's what Stephen Doughty has to say.
You can't have people making wild and unsubstantiated allegations, but it's clear to me there are many victims here who haven't come forward because they fear they won't be treated seriously or independently.
But the Commons is taking this very seriously. To answer your question, Richard, yes, this could well be as wide as the expenses scandal. And yesterday, the Leader of the House of Commons, Andrea Leadsom, took to the floor, and she said we need to act quickly within weeks and days, and something independent needs to now be put in place so people, especially young people who work in the House of Commons, don't feel that they have no one to turn to.
What about this list, quickly, Ranvir, that has been published by The Sun? It's a redacted copy of the list that they've got, that's been compiled by these staffers at the Commons. There are only a few names on the list, most have been blanked out, but there are a lot of ministers here, a lot of ex-ministers here, accused of quite serious sexual misdemeanours. Do you think this list is going to surface eventually, and we're going to actually read the names?
Perhaps. I've seen the unredacted version of it as it happens. There are some names that will make your eyes pop, and next to it, it then says exactly what people have described them as their behaviour. This list probably will surface. You know, in the age of Twitter, in the age of the internet, you can't keep anything quiet. But again, I suppose when you look down the list of misdemeanours and genuine assaults, it is a wide, broad stroke. What it actually tells you is that there is a culture here where drinking, late nights, power, and there being no one to turn to means that people have had incidents happen and let go, and it's the letting go of them that is the scandal, really, and that has to stop.
And just very quickly, The Sun reports as fact that in Westminster, at the Palace yesterday, a video was being distributed on people's iPhones showing, how can we put this, an unusual sex act involving 3 politicians, and they're terrified this is going to make it onto the internet.
Well, they might well be. I don't think it's going to be the last of those sorts of things. Look, sex scandals around Westminster. I mean, we've all seen them, you know, since Parliament began, there have been sex scandals here. The problem is actually not when it's between consenting adults, not when it's extramarital affairs, not when it's, you know, flirtation, and as in the case of the article on the front of the Sun where somebody actually says, I'm not a victim, I actually put it to bed, and it didn't matter. Put it to bed is the wrong phrase, but, you know, I put it to one side, we're now friends, it doesn't matter. The problem with these lists is that all of that sort of sleaziness, sleazy behaviour but not criminal behaviour, gets put together. And the problem really for young interns who work here, for young members of Parliament, is the bit where they feel intimidated and threatened, and it is not consenting. And they have told the parliamentary authority, and it has fallen on deaf ears because they said, well, the only people who can get an MP out of their job is the public, so you'll have to wait till the next general election. Now, that could be 5 years away.
Yeah, Ranvir, thanks very much indeed.